If you struggle with people pleasing, it's probably really important to you to be a good person. And that's awesome. I want you to be a good person. I want more people in this world to be good people. I'm betting that your personal values include things like kindness, compassion, respect, generosity, selflessness, being helpful to others, loyalty, trustworthiness, and honesty. Those are all wonderful values to have. The purpose of this video is to offer some motivation to help you recover from people pleasing by showing you how people pleasing actually stands in your way of truly fulfilling those values that I just outlined. Unchecked people pleasing can cause you to actually hurt the people that you're trying to help and serve. I don't need to tell you all the ways that people pleasing hurts you. You already know. But since you're a people pleaser, you tend to put others first. So instead of trying to convince you to start putting yourself first, I'm going to show you how being a people pleaser hurts others. Okay? So we're going to go over 3 main points in this video. But before we get into all of that, let me introduce myself really quick. My name is Laura, and on my channel, I talk all things health, wealth, and happiness here in the attention economy. I'm currently a grad student earning my master's in mental health counseling, and prior to going back to school, I had a whole long career in the performing arts. I used to be a dancer and circus artist. I still am, but I don't do those things for my career anymore. This channel is ultimately to support creatives, artists, and others who are pursuing careers in the public eye. And those of us who are doing that tend to be very sensitive people with people pleasing tendencies. So, without further ado, let's talk about how people pleasing shoots you in the foot in terms of living by your purported values. So, the first way that people pleasing is actually harmful to others is that it's manipulation. Now, before you leave me an angry comment or click off of this video, just hear me out, okay? People pleasing is, at its core, a coping mechanism that we use to help us get our needs met. Maybe you learned people pleasing because you were raised by other people pleasers and they never modeled healthy conflict or how to set boundaries. Maybe you were taught through your family or church or school or your community, whatever, that saying no is somehow immoral or mean or selfish. Or maybe you were raised in a dysfunctional household where advocating for yourself either didn't work or, worse, led to punishment, either like social punishment or physical punishment. But regardless of where you learned it, the purpose of it is to solicit a specific reaction from the person who you're pleasing, attempting to please. You want that other person to see you in a specific light. So, to give an artist based example here, maybe you have a friend who is always asking you to make free art for them. And since you're a people pleaser, you always say yes, even though you can't really afford the art supplies to keep making them this stuff. But you just don't feel like you can ask them to at least pay for the materials, if not the labor, because you want them to see you as a nice person, a generous person, a good friend. I have to ask you, what do you get from them seeing you that way? What do you get from them having an image in their head of you being generous, of being a good friend, of always being there for them and always saying yes? You get to feel like a good person if those are things that align with your definition of being a good person. You maybe get to feel like a martyr if they keep using you for free art, and sometimes that can feel secretly kind of good, right? Ultimately, I think it allows you to feel like a good person. It allows you to feel like a good friend. It allows you to feel valuable to them. Another way to look at this is to ask yourself, what would it cost you if you said no when they ask you to make art for free? They might call you selfish, and being called selfish might make you feel like you're a bad person. It might also put you in a position to have to deal with confrontation. It might make you worry that that person will leave you forever. At the end of the day, saying yes when you mean no is dishonest. It's lying. And lying is not good person behavior. If you want to truly be a kind and honest person, then it's time to give up the people pleasing. The second way that people pleasing actually hurts others is that not having the ability to say no can lead to antisocial behavior. I'm going to give you an example from my own life. I had a friend once, a long time ago, who was in a relationship, a long term relationship. And while he was in this long term relationship with his girlfriend, he was approached by another young lady who seduced him, and he cheated on his girlfriend with this other girl. When he told me why he did it, he said it was because he just couldn't say no. He didn't have the skills to say no. He didn't know how to say no. So his people pleasing, his inability to say no, led him to cheat on his girlfriend. Does that sound like harmless behavior? Does that sound like good person behavior to you? Now, you may be thinking, I would never do that. I'm actually loyal. Okay, you sure about that? Has your no been put to the test? Because here's the thing, practicing saying no and upholding your boundaries in lower stakes everyday situations will prepare you for these moments when it really matters to say no and hold true to your boundaries. Hold true to your commitments. Stay loyal to the people who matter the most to you. Additionally, always saying yes is enabling behavior. It can enable harmful behavior. If you've ever watched like intervention, right? Every person who's been on intervention, the person who's struggling with addiction, has people in their life who enable their addiction, who buy drugs for them, who drive them to wherever they get their drugs, who give them money, who house them for free, feed them for free. That's people pleasing behavior, and it's enabling behavior. So, if you want to be a loyal, honest, trustworthy person, rather than just appearing as one, then it's time to give up the people pleasing. Third, burnout. We've all heard the phrase, you can't pour from an empty cup, and that is true. People pleasing will have you biting off more than you can chew, which will eventually lead to you dropping the ball. Which, if you're a people pleaser for the reasons that I was a people pleaser when I was in my 20s, I was a people pleaser specifically professionally because I wanted to be seen as competent and capable and valuable in the workplace. I wanted to be the person who my bosses brought all of the important projects to so that I could get promotions and raises and new opportunities. But the thing is, like I said, when you bite off more than you can chew, you drop the ball, which backfires your purpose for people pleasing in that situation. When you give to others and you overgive to others and you don't account for your own needs, you will burn out. Something that I learned in my counseling classes is that burnout is actually considered a huge ethical issue in the profession of counseling. We talked about it like within the first month of my ethics class at the beginning of last year. So why is it an ethical issue? Because when you burn out, you will do unethical things such as client abandonment. If you burn out and you need to suddenly leave, you need to go take a leave of absence because you are so exhausted and depleted and you have nothing left to give, the result for that client is that they've been abandoned. That's traumatizing. When you are burnt out and super tired, you also have poor judgment. The filter in your brain may reduce in quality, shall we say, and you may say things that you don't mean. You may engage in dubious boundary behavior, like maybe answering texts after hours, which establishes a really murky dynamic between client and therapist. You may engage in unhelpful coping mechanisms like substance use. And you may end up developing resentment towards your clients or your colleagues or the industry at large. But no matter what the specifics are of the effects of the burnout that you're experiencing due to your people pleasing, the result is the same, which is that your work quality, your ability to be generous and helpful to others in the long term suffers. So, if you want to be there for the people that you love and live into those values of generosity and being helpful to others long term, it's time to give up the people pleasing. The last thing that I'll leave you with for this video is people pleasing the kind of behavior that you want to model to the people in your life who look up to you? And yes, there are people in your life who look up to you, whether you know it or not. You probably don't know it, but they are out there. There is a theory, like a counseling theory, a human development theory called social learning theory by Albert Bandura, which talks about how we don't learn simply through like typical conditioning, like how you would train a dog with treats and stuff like that. Humans, we learn through observation. We learn through watching other people and seeing what happens to them, modeling the behavior of others. I think like the best example that I can think of this is dance, right? Like the way that I learn new choreography is by watching the instructor demonstrate it, and then I try it. That's social learning. I watch somebody else do the thing, see what happens, and then I try it. Knowing that, and you know how much people pleasing harms you. Do you want others in your life to follow in your footsteps and hurt themselves the same way? Or would you rather model courage and boundaries to the people who look up to you? Would you rather model being able to say no when it fucking matters to the people in your life who look up to you? Just something to think about. I hope that this has been helpful because, like I said in the intro, when you are a people pleaser and the opinions of others matter more to you than your own opinion, sometimes it's helpful to just like work with that and realize that your people pleasing actually hurts others. So let me know in the comments if this was helpful. Let me know if there's anything that I've left out of this video, or if there's anything in this video that really stood out to you and kind of helped you see things differently. So I will see you again on Sunday. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, whatever the YouTube things. My goal is to reach 300 subscribers by the end of June 2025. So if you haven't hit subscribe yet, please do so. I'd be forever grateful. And tell me in the comments if you do. All right, cool. See you Sunday. Bye.